¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday morning. Happy Monday from a cool grade London. How's it going, Astro? Howdy, howdy. I think today we'll try to take things easy. Thank you for hanging out. Good morning from Monty, New York. Near the Tappan Zee Bridge. Morning, I'm having coffee. White Plains. I'm having coffee too, alright? Howdy, everybody. No coffee for me? What? What do you mean no coffee for you? Coffee, my friend, is the essence. The pure and unadulterated essence of my everyday morning routine. I don't drink caffeine. That's good. All kidding aside, that's probably a good thing. Decaf? What? Oh, Alio. Decaf? You're killing me. My coffee was 4 hours ago. That's right. You're on a different time zone, though. Junk should be free. Should be for free. What? I agree. Coffee for all. I mix mine 5 types that includes decaf. What? So you make like a... How do you do that? That's actually very interesting. So you get like 5 different brands of coffee or 5 different types of coffee, and then you just measure them out? How does that work? Gotcha. I used to be decaffeinated, but I only drink once a day, so I pay more for decaf when normal is cheap. It's cheaper. True. True. Really quickly, just to give a brief offline follow shout out. I couldn't do this yesterday because, I couldn't do this Saturday because, well, we don't have the proper setup yet to be able to look at things live. So, really quickly, eComposer, thank you so much for the offline follow America's Least Wanted. Thank you so much for that follow. Not Another Beanstain. Gaia's Truth. Red Hobbit. Thank you so much for the offline follows. I appreciate that. So today's stream, we're gonna try to make sure we take it a little bit easier. Do you have a Twitch and a YouTube running? There is a alleged allegation that is happening. I've heard rumors that that's a thing. There are rumors out there that exist that can neither be confirmed nor denied. But yeah. I'm thinking to take today very slow. For some folks, it is a vacation weekend. So those of you that are enjoying your day off, please continue to do so. We'll try to make this as chill as possible. Also, folks, there's going to be more announcements regarding the change in the channel. I don't know when it's going to happen, but at some point, there will be some point soon, there will be a scheduled change. We'll see what happens with my work, with my job. They are thinking about shifting everybody to an 8 to 5 p.m. shift. And so that would mean, well, I might have to do it after. So the stream might shift to 5 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see. Will you cover the latest Trump cringe? What is that? Capitalists love democracy until the moment a communist or socialist democratically gets voted elected by the republic. Capitalists hate democracy during then. Well, I mean, if you're talking about like the traditional way of like marketing, the traditional business model, or how traditionally capitalism runs, it is inherently, by its nature, not democratic to begin with. To be a capitalist, you have to want to be authoritarian in nature, because you want all of the means of production and all of the things that come with it under your command. a true capitalist who owns their means of a true capitalist who owns the means of production, right? Solely, is by definition undemocratic. The NRA? Oh, yeah. There was a rally. God. So the NRA, despite the horrific events that recently happened, there was another one, by the way, folks. Jesus Christ. Just yesterday, I want to say. Just yesterday, there was another one in Ohio, I believe. 8 people were shot, and one of them was roadblocked. Yeah. Trump had 2 speeches. The one in Wyoming was basically full attendance, not so many. Not so many. Oh, not so many standing ovations. Okay. I mean, we could take a look at that. That's I guess that's relevant to recent events. What was it in Texas? Oh, wait. This is even more noticeable. This is even more noteworthy news. Thousands protest. Oh, Jesus. It's behind a paywall. Thousands protest at annual NRA convention after the Texas shooting. Thousands, folks. Did you see Cruz being confronted at the restaurant? True. I did see that. Oh my god. It's a 2-hour 45... No, it's not 2. Hold on. Let's see if we can navigate this properly. Okay? Also, Joe Biden was challenged about doing something to cut the gun violence, and Joe said he would do something to the public. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. Alio actually just posted the link here. We'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at it. All right. Really quickly. Uvalde tells Biden to do something, and he pledges that he will. Sure. President Joe Biden agreed with the shattered community of... Is it Uvalde? Uvalde? Privately for 3 hours with anguished families of the 19 children and 2 teachers that were murdered by a gunman. Thank you for not putting his name. Faced with chance of do something as he departed the church service, Biden pledged that he, quote, "we will." Yeah. At Robb Elementary School, Biden visited a memorial to 21 white crosses, one for each of those killed, and First Lady Jill Biden added a bouquet of white flowers to those already placed in the front of the school sign. The couple then viewed an individual altars erected in memory of each student, the First Lady touching the children's photos as they moved along the row. After visiting the memorial, Biden attended Mass at Sacred Heart Catholic Church with several victims and family members of one of the families that was in attendance. Speaking directly to the children in the congregation, Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Siller tried to assuage the fears of the youngest, some appearing about the same age as the victims. Congress does make the laws, so therefore, maybe they should try to make sure that they make specific targeted laws to try to address this problem. Like, even the idea of trying to look like they're making something, an effort, some type of solution to be put forth, it's just impossible to materialize. It's just impossible. You can't literally talk about any type of solutions. Like, it's almost impossible. It's really frustrating. It makes me cry. The killing is effed up. It is, Astro. Like, it. I mean, Jesus. Anyways, I don't know if it's because I'm getting tired of having to cover the news time and time again, and having to be plugged in into the world of what's going on, and constantly see time and time again tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. I mean, like, eventually, something's gonna eventually something's gotta give. In this case, like, this was like the umpteenth event, and it's like, man, this is tiring. This one really took this one really took the cake. Something about this particular story, like the way things are unfolding, it's just unbelievable. The Public Safety and Recreational Firearms Use Protection Act, or Federal Assault Weapon Ban, was a subsection of the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, a U.S. federal law which including a prohibition on the manufacture for civilian use of certain semi-automatic firearms that were defined as assault weapons, as well as certain ammunition magazines that were defined as, quote, large capacity. The 10-year ban was passed by the U.S. Congress. Hey, Fu Manchu. Yeah, there was a massive surge in gun purchases after mass shootings when Dems get voted in. Yeah, that's kind of like a trend, right? It always happens. I woke up in a semi-good mood today, then I saw a story about cops shooting a pregnant black woman with her hands up during a traffic stop. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. First of all, howdy, Fu Manchu. Morning. Jesus Christ. I still remember Columbine. Yeah, and if you would, if you remember the details, about that, because to me, I was very, very, very young. I wasn't even like thinking about none of this. I was very small. But there were certain details that were to be noted in that particular school shooting. And in that, and that detail is that The police response to go in and clear took about 2 hours. The police stood outside creating like a barricade, a perimeter, and stood outside for like 2 hours. Before going in. Yeah. And somehow that created a justification for the expansion of police resources, for the creation of SWAT teams across the board, but they ended up doing fuck all. There was an armed resource police officer, which is a school resource officer, is basically a police officer dedicated to that school, to that particular school. You know what they did in Parkland? In the Parkland shooting? That's right. Fuck all. And as everybody's corroborating, guess what police did in this school shooting? And there have been so many conflicting reports, i.e., the police are lying in this one too. Yeah, and guess what police did in this mass school shooting? Yep, that's right. Fuck all. So, oh, thank you, Fu Manchu. In Orlando, the Pulse shooting, where 49 people were murdered, police waited 3 hours. I don't know why police took so long. I'll tell you right now, because I'm tying it all to the original comment that Fu Manchu put. I'll tie it all together to the original comment that Fu Manchu put. So, police did fuck all during pretty much any like media reported mass shooting that you could possibly like remember just off the back of your head. Just think back and say like, damn, what did police really do? They did fuck all. But when it comes to unarmed suspects, oh boy, do they have a fucking trigger finger for that shit. When it comes to unarmed people, god damn, do they have a fucking trigger finger for that shit. So, the TLDR is that cops, they're not. Do you know why police take so long? Because they're not there to protect. They're not there to serve. Police aren't heroes. They aren't there to protect and serve you. That's what it is. Yes, they would roadblocks a pregnant minority faster than they would a freaking active shooter. Do you know why? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters, because this is instilled in their training. You could look this up in like different police academies, and kind of like the underlying mantra of police training, or the mentality of police training. The underlying mantra beneath everything is to come home. Nothing else matters except yourself. So when faced with for example, a anything that you could perceive as a threat, you take that threat out first. No questions asked. When you definitely know that there's a threat, for example, I don't know, some person slaughtering children, you have to come home. You have to come home. Yeah. So to answer your question, it's because at the end of the day, they're not there to protect you. They're not there to serve. And they're cowards. Cowards. Cowards, cowards, cowards. Yeah, there's no such thing as like this idea that they made the wrong decision. Nah, fam. And besides, like, I'm sorry, in this particular story, there has been so many contradictions. There's been so many contradictions in the police story, so many holes that it's very difficult to believe a word that they say. Unbelievable. And I'll leave you with this question. For anybody that's listening, I'll leave you with this question. What is the point of continuing to provide such a large budget to to police forces for all this awesome badass tactical stuff? In particular, just to tie it back to this story and the Uvalde incident, the police force has had level 4 armor, which is designed to stop rifle rounds. They've had level 4 armor since 2017. It was standard issue across the board. They even made a post about it in 2017. So what exactly is the point of giving them all of this gear, giving them all of this stuff, tools, sometimes even military surplus? What is the point of wasting? Because it is a waste. All this money. On a police budget. When all of that is way too much. And B, in like the one time they need to use the gear that they were given, cowards, the lot of them. What is the point of spending millions of dollars training a tactical SWAT team to have them sit outside listening to kids getting slaughtered? maybe all that fancy gear isn't really meant to protect you. And maybe all that fancy millions of dollars and all those cool army surplus, all that awesome stuff, maybe it's not really intended to protect you. Maybe it's intended to intimidate. You tell me. You tell me what the reasoning is to spend all of this money and have all of this high-tech gear. And time after time after time after time, when it really counts. When it really counts. Nowhere to be found. Oh wait, actually, hold on. Excuse me, I want to be very, very, very clear. I want to be as accurate as possible. They won't go out. They won't go in there to save innocent children getting slaughtered. They'll save their children. They'll run in there and save their children and get out and say fuck off and fuck off and goodbye. Hope the rest of y'all survive. They'll do that. They'll detain screaming parents. They'll threaten with pepper spray and tasers parents who are literally screaming as you can hear gunshots and screaming kids. Oh, they'll do that. They'll deploy that fancy gear like that. They will absolutely. It is just insane to me, Fu Manchu. They will shoot a pregnant black person faster than an active shooter slaughtering children. If that isn't the definition of cowardice. The real kicker is that some of the cops' own kids were in that school with the shooter and they still waited. Unfreaking believable. I saw, and according to the police chief, it was confirmed that some of them went in there and rescued their own. Then when they did go in, they secured their own kids first. Yeah. Okay, so I did get it right. Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah, okay, cool. Unfucking believable. And it's just like the more you hear about it, the more you hear about like the police side response, the more freaking angry I got. They attempted to use the excuse that they were waiting for keys. They were waiting for keys in the room to get to the room. Since when the fuck do cops need keys? Have you not seen like the freaking like that is the whole point of being issued out all of this gear is for this exact reason. They have absolutely within their capability to breach a freaking door if they wanted to. I know that because they do that all the freaking time. With no knock warrants. How do you think they get in? By waiting until a locksmith arrives on the scene? What? By waiting? No. Exactly. They had 40% of the county budget. They were posing with all of this like tactical, cool, badass SWAT team. In 2017, entire across the board, everybody was standard issued level 4 fucking body armor to stop rifle rounds. So what, did they just, everybody just forgot all that shit at home? Nah, you could see it in the videos, folks. You could see it in the videos. They had vests on. They had rifles in hand. Why? Because they were already chasing the guy. Yeah, they trained for it multiple times. That's the whole point of the SWAT team, allegedly. That's why we waste millions of dollars. Nah, fuck that. All of them. Fuck, like, Jesus Christ. I'm waiting, hopefully not for nothing. The heads will roll. And the Trump and MAGA remind people to vote. Bad management all around. Yeah, but this isn't just bad management. This is just fundamentally, this is just fundamentally a broken method of policing. And this idea that we just need to give them more money didn't work. How much more money do you need to give them? 40%, 50%, 60% of the budget? How much more? Right, Fu Manchu. More kids have been killed in 2022 than police. Yeah, well, yes. And I'm sorry. If every single one of those officers got roadblocks going in, trying to save those children, then we can talk about them doing their job, because that's the point, right? If you can't stomach the idea that you might find yourself in a life or death situation as a police officer, that maybe, even if it never happens in your career, but maybe that one call is going to come in and and there's an active shooter situation with kids, and you think that, and there's any hesitation of you going in, if that thought crosses your mind, maybe you shouldn't be a police officer. Okay? I know I couldn't do it. And that's okay. I admit that. I could never, I don't know. I mean, I've never been faced with that situation, but I understand that if I had to choose a job and that was a possibility, maybe I'm not cut out for that. Yeah, when somebody tells you it's too soon to talk about gun control, yeah, that's a non. I don't. That's like, okay, so then when do we do it? Then the next mass shooting, or the next one, or actually the one that happened yesterday. How about that one? Yes. Rhetorical. A question that people should be asking themselves. And I want people to absorb that question. If the cops are too scared, if the cops are trained to only care about themselves, only preserve their own life, remember, you have to come home is the mentality, is the mantra underneath all that training. But anyways, if the cops are too scared to go in, If the cops can't even stop mass shooters, or unwilling to, I should say, despite having tools and training to do so, then what is the point? Ask yourselves, what is the point? Yeah, maybe we should just like rebuild and rethink and reorganize what the police with what the mandates, guardrails, and protocols are for the police. Maybe we should think about that. And especially with a clear mandate to protect citizens, because that's literally their job. Allegedly. That's right. Unbelievable. Look, the ads are trying to serve me up some CBD. The ads are trying to get me to buy some hemp flour with CBD. It's probably telling me to chill out. I think that's the sign. I think that's the sign that's given to me right now. Being given to me. That's right. Can you imagine if you show up at your job and you just like tell your job that, hey, look, I actually, I don't know, dude. I just don't want to do my job. I think it's scary. I don't know. I'm just gonna sit here and collect my money. Can you imagine if you told your job that? If you told your job that you just didn't, you're just too scared to do your job and you just want to sit there and collect money? You would get fired on the spot. You have seen the news, you have witnessed the tears, your parents, friends, he said, encourage them not to be afraid of life. You're the best reminder of us today that the lives of little ones are important. Okay. So, what? All of these are just words and rhetoric. I don't care, really. Okay, we said we would take a chill, so I don't know. Let's just make fun of Trump or something.
Hi there. Have you heard about Otter?
No. Quit trying to sell me stuff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everybody.
I would like to point out that this is a NRA rally.
Well, thank you, Wayne, and thank you, Jason. I'm honored to be here in the great state of Texas with the wonderful patriots of the NRA. And
The NRA aren't patriots.
unlike some, I didn't disappoint you by not showing up.
He's literally talking about Republican lawmakers who were just like too freaking ashamed of being who they are and show up at the NRA conference. There's a group of them that bailed. Some, like a handful. Yeah. That's who he's talking about. Unlike some.
For more than 150 years, the NRA has stood strong and tall in defense of our rights.
For over 150 years? How old is the NRA? Is that even true? I'm sorry. Like, I have trouble believing a single word of this guy's mouth. But, never mind. He's actually correct.
Rights, our freedoms, our families, our law enforcement officers.
Yeah, fuck him.
Our sacred liberties as Americans. And together we're going to be standing strong and tall for many, many years.
Yeah, please take in mind that he's talking about, like, liberty and freedom and all of this other stuff. But given the opportunity, this guy would flip on those in a dime. Remember, he does not care about anybody except himself. And he absolutely would assert full control if he could. Yeah, I saw that, Alio.
Years to come. I really do appreciate this incredible turnout. I want to express my tremendous gratitude to each and every one of the proud citizens here today. You are the backbone of our movement, and you are the backbone of our country. You know.
Remember, folks, if you're like these type of like NRA like amosexual people, you are the backbone of this movement. Remember that.
You know that. I just heard him. He made a wonderful speech. Ted Cruz, Senator, where are you? Thank you very much. Ted, thank you very much.
Is there a way I can speed this up?
Great job. Governor Kristi Noem is here. Kristi, thank you. Kristi, doing a fantastic job. In North Carolina, there's a hot politician. He's a hot politician. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. I don't know where you are, Mark.
Jesus.
I don't know where Mark is, but he is fantastic. We just had a very good day, as you know, in North Carolina.
What?
As we gathered this week, citizens across this state and across this nation are filled with grief in the wake of the heinous massacre of Robb Elementary School in Uvalde.
Uvalde?
You know,
Is that
all
how you
about
pronounce
and
it?
What a horrible, horrible thing it was to see it, to watch it, to hear about it. The terrible murder of 19 innocent children and 2 adult teachers, with many badly injured, was a savage and barbaric atrocity that shocks the conscience of every single American. So horrible.
But yet it keeps happening.
I want to ask for a brief moment of silence as I read the names of these beautiful people.
Fuck
Lunatic,
off.
Aletha,
Fuck off.
Guadalupe, Jay, Jose, Miranda, Eva, thought about, let alone happened. Each precious young soul that was taken is an incomprehensible loss, literally not comprehensible, stolen from us by a malice that no words can describe. Sickness. The monster who committed this crime is pure evil, pure cruelty, pure hatred, absolute pure hatred. And while those he slaughtered are now with God in heaven, he will...
Jesus Christ. Unfucking believable. Oh, yeah. This is all to fleece the, his followers. 100%.
will be eternally damned to burn in the fires of hell.
Please clap. We did it, folks. We don't have to take any type of action because, well, you know, the killer is now burning in hell. We did it, guys. Everything's okay. God, religion is such garbage. Yeah, exactly. That's why I sped right through that, because that's just gross. How dare you? At a fucking NRA conference. Fuck off.
As we mourn for so
The
many
absolute
beautiful victims,
audacity of this guy.
I know that everyone here joins me in praying for the families who are suddenly missing the brightest light in their lives. We see their agony. We ask God to ease their suffering and to heal their pain, and together we grieve side by side.
Yes, thoughts
as
and
one
prayers.
Great American family. Now is the time to find common ground. Sadly, before the sun had even set on the horrible day of tragedy, we witnessed a now familiar parade of cynical politicians seeking to exploit the tears of sobbing families to increase their own power and take away our constitutional rights.
Oh my god. And what about the politicians who have used tragedies like this? Hello, you're speaking at an event. Like, does this just not compute? You're speaking at an event where politicians have also used this tragedy for their political gain. You just mentioned Ted Cruz was there. What was that because just Ted Cruz just happened to be like a member of the NRA? No. He gets money from them. Can we just get a transcript before I throw it from his stupid face? I don't know if I could go much longer. That's funny. I bet he would support the NRA if he ended up like President Kennedy. Nah, this dude like... So, just to be clear, Astro, this dude doesn't believe in anything other than himself. This dude doesn't believe in anything other than himself. So if it gets him applause, or if it gets him votes, or if it gets him points, or whatever, then he's gonna say it. But I'm not sure if he believes in anything other than himself and other than absolute like power himself. Make him say oranges.
Every time a disturbed or demented person commits such a hideous crime, there's always a grotesque effort by some in our society.
Yeah, there's always a this like small, just like grotesque effort of like attempting to address the situation, whether or not you agree. Okay? Whether or not you agree, that there should be like total bans or total whatever, or like maybe we should have this. It doesn't matter. The point is, some people are attempting to bring some type of solutions to the table because, yeah, this shit keeps happening. Yeah, excuse me. The grotesque effort of attempting to address, like, I don't know, kids being slaughtered. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if I could go any longer.
To use the suffering of others to advance their own extreme political agenda.
But just aren't you doing the same thing? You're doing the same thing.
Even more repulsive is their rush to shift blame away from the villains who commit acts of mass violence and to place that blame onto the shoulders of millions of peaceful, law-abiding citizens.
What? What? No one's saying that that guy isn't responsible. We're asking for something to be done so that it doesn't happen again. Or at least try to address the issue. No one's taking blame away from the actual person that committed that heinous act. No one should take away blame from that person who decided to take those actions. We're asking, how do we make sure that it becomes less of a thing? How do we make sure that every freaking week we don't have to wake up to another tragedy like this? That's it. And then shift it to responsible gun owners? Nobody has said that in a in any meaningful capacity. No one has suggested that we shift blame for what that for what that person did to every responsible. What? No one bro. We want solutions, okay? If there's nothing that you could be if there's nothing that you want to put forth on the table, if you don't want to put anything on the table, then shut up. Fuck off. We need a this is a rabid animal video. We need a cute animal video. I agree. Listen, it's supposed to be chill today, and I'm getting all kind of fucking triggered in all kinds of ways. Yeah, let's send all kids to school in bulletproof vests. Ah, yes, that's solving. That's addressing the root problem. Yes, let's teach elementary school kids how to use firearms so that they can defend themselves. Unironically, vehicle extended warranty. Fox News actually suggested that. Unironically, not a joke. Not a joke. Fox News actually suggested to give kids the means to protect themselves, or some absolute completely delusional disregard, just completely asinine statement of arming the kids. I'm not kidding. This actually happened on Fox News. You can look up the clip. There's an entire industry built around school shootings because capitalism has zero shame. Oh yeah. There's actually there's a whole entire there's a whole entire market dedicated to selling you bulletproof backpacks with plating. Because we've just decided that as a society that this is just normal and okay. Nothing wrong with this. We have decided as a society that this is just how we do things. I would prefer if we were a little bit more open with ourselves instead of just the usual thoughts and prayers. Yes, Fu Manchu. Actually, I saw that and I was like, I'm just gonna get even more angry. Reading about this. Here, I actually tweeted about this. every single update on this story is just more and more and more infuriating. Absolutely zero sense of awareness and zero sense of giving a flying fuck about anything. Who wrote this? Like, did the chief of police actually sit down and actually write this? Like, typed it out with his own hands? Like, it is important to our community to know that our officers responded within minutes alongside Uvalde CISD officers. Okay, so then what did you do? Responding UPD officers sustained gunshot wounds from the suspect. I don't give a fuck. That's your job. Our entire department is thankful that the officers did not sustain any life-threatening injuries. Oh, really? Damn, thanks. Jesus Christ. Actually, I saw a very dark meme. Well, it's not a meme, because I call any picture with captions memes nowadays. Anyways, I saw like you know how like they do like the cringy shit? Right. Obviously, the only logical solution, is to send every kid to school in a tank, and I think we'll stop mass shootings at schools. Clearly, that's the logical conclusion that we have to take away from this incident. Adults with mentally, just like meanwhile, kids are supposed to protect and paying the ultimate price for incompetence. I agree with that last part. Sorry if it was a little bit hard to understand there, but yes, that last part there I agree with. I saw a picture with the you know, the garbage like thin blue line thing, which, hey, the thin blue line crowd are awfully fucking quiet. Awfully quiet. The thin blue line folks are awfully fucking quiet. The thin yellow line? No. It was a picture that was kind of like with that setup, but instead of like the thin blue line, it was all crayons. And it was all drawn in with crayons, kind of like how a kid would crayon around it, and it said exactly what you did. Exactly what you said, that you know, thanks to the kids who yeah. Right, a tank for every household. Exactly. That's clearly the only solution. Hey Erica, how's it going? Welcome. Anyways, don't care. If like every single one of those officers had been Roblox trying to defend those kids, that would have been another thing. That we would have been telling a different story. But don't tell me this garbage. Don't tell me this garbage. So just to kind of get off this topic because like it's getting really triggering. So the updates that have been the latest updates on this tragedy is that apparently the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is actually going to look at the response of this police department. So they're going to be looking into this. Thank goodness that this has national scrutiny. Thank goodness that this has had such national scrutiny. Because you best believe that if they could get away, they could get away with trying to slip out of any type of responsibility, or just feed people BS standard propaganda that they would feed and that people would accept in any other circumstance. But thank goodness we live in a age where information and video is like everything is so quick and so live that you can kind of like evaluate stuff as it happens, kind of, because there's been a lot of, sometimes people twist live stories. But what I'm trying to say is that thanks to technology, and thanks in this particular case, thanks to the media who has taken an interest in this story, to shine a light on just all of the inconsistencies that these cops have been engaging in. Did you watch the NRA troll video? No, I have not. Is it better to stay quiet and be thought of a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt? Oh, I like people to just show their hand. All right. Let's take a second. How about a feel-good kitty cat story?
I walked into the shelter and he was in a kennel and he was up. I was scrolling through my feed on Instagram when I came across a post made by the Animal Humane Society in Minnesota. It was a video of a cat named Bruce Willis. It said that he was a former tomcat who had likely lived outside for several years. Yeah, you can just see it on his face that he had lived a rough life. And it just broke my heart. But then I just looked at him sitting there in his little room. And I knew that I couldn't leave him there. What's going on today? Yeah. So I got him. And I brought him.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
How could I not like that video? Whoever hits the dislike button on this, shame. Alright, enough of this garbage human being. All right, folks. This video just dropped. Please, if you guys have a few seconds, please feel free to support this channel. All right, do the thing. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all this the stuff. Do the YouTubes, all right? Very good channel.
In March, a tiny solar manufacturing company in San Jose, California submitted a petition to the U.S. Department of Commerce to investigate solar exports from 4 Southeast Asian countries. This one move essentially froze the U.S. solar industry. The U.S. solar industry is having a rough time right now, and I want to talk about it.
Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's been a while.
Wait a minute. You don't have YouTube? How does that work?
Oh, hi. Hi. How are you? It's been over a month. And I don't like that. And I don't want to do that again. That was like a little too long for me.
True.
We're not doing that again, so I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. Let's just get into it. Hey y'all, it's Becky here from the Beckosphere, where we talk about climate news and solutions. Today
Doesn't have YouTube, has sent from YouTube. Is this like an alternate dimension? Hold on, I think I'm being gaslit in 4K. I think I'm literally being gaslit in 4K. Glitch in the Matrix confirmed. True. Now that was a good meme. Type Erica into YouTube and look at the song it kicks back. Is that a bit sus? I don't know. A name is suspect? What? Come on. Leave Erica alone, folks. I already subbed to the channel? Awesome. I appreciate that, Erica.
we're going to talk about the Department of Commerce's investigation of Asian solar tariffs that was spurred on by a petition from Oxen Solar and is slowly killing the US solar industry. I have been talking about this for a few months now on my climate news podcast, The Climate Recap, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts,
Oh, I need
and
to.
YouTube.
Oh, wait. I need to
Let's start from the
subscribe to
beginning
that
with
channel.
how solar panels are made, because we can't know what tariffs apply where if we don't understand all the moving parts. There's basically 4 steps to making photovoltaic solar panels, which are the dominant type of solar panel in the market. First, chunks of silicone are melted at high temperatures in heavy cylindrical blocks called ignits. The ignits are then sliced into thin sheets called wafers, and phosphorus and semiconductors are then added to the wafers to make solar cells. And finally, the cells are soldered together to make solar modules, also known as solar panels. The first solar cell was made in the US Bell Labs in 1954. And for the rest of the 20th century, this country was primarily the manufacturer of solar cells and modules in the world.
Damn.
Granted, this technology wasn't really in that high of a demand until the 2000s. Imagine if we had started mass deploying solar technology way back then.
I was actually gonna make that exact comment. How is it that we're so incapable of looking at the future like this? Because it's not like in the 50s they didn't have a concept of climate change, or it's not like in the 50s they didn't have information to suggest that, hey, what we're doing is kind of not sustainable. We've gotta slow the roll here. They absolutely had the information, or at least the inkling of the idea that what we were doing, or what we are doing, is destroying the sustainability. of our planet. They absolutely had the inkling of the idea back then. No doubt about it. Miraculous, how's it going? Because being incapable pays pretty good. True, or at the very least, it doesn't matter if you're capable, incapable, competent, or incompetent. It matters what you can produce to shareholders at the end of that quarter.
But anyways, as the conversation about global warming started to grow louder and louder, China paid attention, and as it does with anything it sees trending, it heavily subsidized the production of solar cells and modules. On the bright side,
if only we had gotten on our ish and started, working on that. A song using my name, I'm filing a DMCA complaint. Yeah, you absolutely got to take down these folks using your name. That's unacceptable.
this move drastically dropped the price of solar technology globally, getting us to where we are today, with solar being price comparative with natural gas. On the downside, it pretty much knocked the US solar manufacturing industry off the playing field. President Obama tried to help out the domestic production by imposing 24 to 36% solar tariffs on Chinese solar panels and cells in 2012, and that eventually went to include Taiwan. This move was also due to a 1930s rule that any foreign nation that was trying to subsidize to basically kill competition would be tariffed automatically. The problem with this tariff on Chinese solar projects is that it might have been a little too late as far as the US domestic solar industry is concerned, because the damage had already been done. The US solar industry was now heavily reliant on imports, with 86% of solar jobs focused.
And I know hindsight is 2020, and you can look back and say like we could have done this and we should have done that, but damn, this is so frustrating.
On solar installation, not manufacturing. When the Chinese tariffs were put in place, the US demand just moved to Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. So President Trump's further expansion of solar tariffs to include more of those countries in 2018, which included the countries I just mentioned, just made the solar price shoot up more. Now the cost of installing utility scale solar in the US is among the highest in the world. Varun Shivaram, a former senior researcher scholar at Columbia University and a current member of the Biden administration, put it like this, quote, "But if Obama's tariffs closed the barn doors after the horse bolted, then Trump's 2018 tariffs was like putting a lock on the door." This is crazy. I don't know why I think this is so weird. This is crazy. Okay, so I'm doing a video on solar tariffs, right? And I'm quoting this one person who is like a professor at Columbia, and now he works for Biden's administration. He looked really young. I was like, oh my gosh, how old is this guy? He's like 32, 33. And then I saw he went to my high school. The only part of this domestic solar manufacturing that tariffs seemed to help was solar panel assembly, but we still mostly import solar cells. Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam didn't get slapped with as high of tariffs as China and Taiwan did, so
the solution then sounds like maybe we shouldn't do tariffs, right? It sounds like the tariffs were the problem. Yeah?
They currently make up over 80% of US solar imports. Biden extended tariffs on China after it came out in 2021 that Chinese solar cells and modules are linked to forced labor in Uyghur internment camps. Uyghurs are a Muslim minority in China that the Chinese government is essentially trying to erase from existence. It's a horrible situation, and I recommend that you look up that whole situation if you don't know what I'm talking about. But
by the way, Spread It Forward brought forth a massive investigation of the BBC regarding this. It looks like, to just kind of follow up like an addendum to that, it looks like more and more outlets are taking that up, so yikes.
Anyways, that's a fair reason to keep tariffs on China. But overall, solar tariffs seem to have done little to restart domestic solar manufacturing and might have actually hindered solar deployment. According to the solar energy industry.
Wait, but then... Wait, but tariffs are the problem. You have to figure out a way to encourage domestic production. Fine. But if tariffs were the ones that kind of like just shattered an entire like industry, or crippling an industry like this, then it sounds like we need to remove the tariffs and encourage domestic closed loop production of solar panels that can be deployed here at a massive scale. That's what it sounds like.
Association, the U.S. solar industry has lost up to 62,000 jobs, and the tariffs have kept 10.5 gigawatts of solar capacity from being installed. 10.5 gigawatts is equivalent to about 8.5% of the U.S.'s current solar capacity. And that's the playing field on which we find ourselves. Most solar bodies seem to oppose solar tariffs outright.
The lack of
the small
tariffs.
Domestic manufacturing industry that still benefits from tariffs supports them. For example, First Solar, which is the largest solar manufacturing company in the US, does support tariffs and the recent petition, which I'm finally getting to. So at the beginning of 2022, Oxen Solar, a solar manufacturing company in San Jose, which is where I'm from, came across research conducted by Bloomberg NEF, the research arm of the larger Bloomberg organization. The research looked at the supply chain of US solar imports. The research showed that Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam import a lot of their solar parts, like ignits and wafers, from China, which set up red flags for Oxen Solar because Oxen Solar is one of the manufacturers that supports tariffs, and to them, the research meant that China was...
Yeah, but that's not always how that works necessarily. That's not always how that works, Astro. I mean, like, on paper, sure, but it doesn't always end up turning out that way. If they put tariffs on billionaire private jets, billionaires just shouldn't exist.
Circumventing U.S. solar tariffs by going through those countries. Concerned, they sent a petition to the U.S. Department of Commerce in February in which they mentioned BNEF's research 38 times. The department took up this case in March. And as soon as the U.S. solar industry heard of this investigation, it froze, especially after research found that the department could impose retroactive tariffs on solar cells and modules from those countries of up to 250%. That would spell a death sentence for the U.S. solar industry. The current uncertainty alone has already delayed or canceled about 300 solar projects, which is about 24 gigawatts. It also has resulted in the potential layoff of 38,000 people, which is like a third of the solar workforce. A study by the American Clean Power Association confirmed
we already do that. American companies already do that. In my opinion, nationalize the energy sector. Nationalize the energy sector and make all of that production here in terms of like renewable energy as much as possible, and nationalize these companies for energy companies. All energy companies should be nationalized, and then use that to produce renewable resources here, renewable sources of energy here. Yeah. The only reason what you're describing is happening is because private companies have found it cheaper.
That if the Department of Commerce issues tariffs on solar projects from those 4 Asian countries that I keep mentioning, it would result in a 65% drop in utility scale solar projects in the US. Keep in mind, the Biden goal is to decarbonize our energy sector by 2035, which is heavily reliant on the solar industry. The craziest thing of all of this is that Bloomberg NEF researchers that conducted the study came out recently saying that Oxen Solar misrepresented their research. They say that their research shows that Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam are importing resources from China, yes, but then they're making them into more complex products. Like they're buying wafers from China and turning them into solar modules. That means China isn't circumventing tariffs at all. So this whole debacle could be based on a non-issue. So what now? Well, the investigation can't be stopped once it's started. So earlier this month, a bipartisan group of 22 senators penned a letter to Biden urging him to expedite the process to bring back market stability. 60 House lawmakers might have just done the same thing recently. The Department of Commerce needs to determine if China's products were substantially altered enough to not require retroactive tariffs. And I haven't heard anyone else talking about the Bloomberg NEF researchers' statement besides Canary Media, who originally broke the news.
Well, that's because a lot of this stuff just isn't, well, the news is horrible, all right? The news is horrible, so it's up to people like the Vecosphere, it's up to people like, well, like this channel, to try to signal boost stories like this. So good on her for trying to signal boost this, because like the reality is a lot of mainstream like media, it's just not there. Subsidize domestic production, sure. Do an Elon Musk on solar? Nah, fuck Elon Musk. It's not, yeah, I don't, no. I do not want to give the task of domesticization of bringing back domestic production to Elon Musk. No, thank you. Like, it's like no matter what we do, somehow we're hurting ourselves or someone else. Maybe we could do what our ancestors did when faced with similar problems. And what exactly is that? Can you explain that to me? Maybe she takes sips in between cuts. Siscat, how's it going? Only presidents can set or remove tariffs. Trump imposed them on China. Yeah. Yep, that's exactly what she said in the original, I think, previous part. I think she mentioned that originally there was some tariffs that came about because of the Obama administration, and then Trump came around and then did like another layer to that on top. Is she just holding that cup for show? It's her merch. It's like wearing the t-shirt of your it's like wearing the t-shirt of your brand. I just got here. Oh, no problem. Here, Siscat. Well, first of all, welcome. And here you go. If you want to check that out.
There's also some bills to repeal solar tariffs altogether that are floating around in Congress right now. The Democrat senator of Nevada and the Republican senator of Kansas introduced one of those bills in mid-February before this whole investigation even started. Their bill removes solar tariffs and founds a Department of Energy program to help spur domestic manufacturing. I'm just hoping that this investigation will determine that the 4 Asian countries are altering products like BNEF research suggests, and therefore the whole thing ends soon, because we need it to end soon. I forgot to mention that the Department of Commerce will present the investigation's primary findings on all.
Are you okay, buddy? Take a drink and set the dang thing down, you blood money sucking vampire. What does that mean? Can you explain that to me? The big issue was iron and steel for a long time. Yep, but yeah. And how do you know that? Wait, you just made that statement. You just made that assumption. How do you know that? Have you spoken with this person? I have. Did you know that? I've spoken with this person before. Did you know that? Maybe we should ease up on comments and think before we actually decide to type out stuff.
August 30th, 2022, as of now, when it publishes the preliminary duty rate for
repealed the tariffs, true.
importers of all products. This will serve as the basis for deposits until it issues the final decision on January 26th, 2023. So
have you ever watched like a podcast where you have like the host always like have a mug with their podcast name on it, even if they never touched a mug? It's just there. There's actually a mug here. You can't see it right now, but there's actually a mug here. Like, I don't understand what your fascination with it is. And quite honestly, that comment was, like, out of order.
I want to have them expedite this whole timeline. It's honestly interesting how bipartisan this whole thing is. Go ahead and sound off in the comments below why you think this issue of all things is super bipartisan, but so far this whole thing has been extremely bipartisan.
I'm not sure. I'm not so sure, my friend. I'm not so sure. Because, like, maybe this particular issue, because it involves, like, China, may be bipartisan, but, like, excuse me if I don't have any confidence in, like, the Republican Party taking up climate change as a legitimate issue.
I'm just hoping that the investigation will determine that the 4 Asian countries are altering the products that they get from China, like BNAF research suggests, and that the whole investigation ends soon, because retrospective data will already show that 2022 was not the year for US domestic solar installation. If you work for the solar industry, I would love to hear your thoughts about everything going on right now. Let me know how you feel about tariffs. This is not the only reason solar is being hindered right now in the US. Permitting is also a nightmare right now, but that is for another short deep dive, which is going to be my next short deep dive. The longer deep dive I'm going to do next is on how the US can effectively modernize its grid to be more resilient, accepting of clean energy, and cost less to consumers. So stay tuned for that. If you would like to make your voice heard, I'll leave a link to where you can email the Secretary of Commerce to not kill the solar industry. I'm never really sure how much those kind of things help. I wish I had more of a call of action to give to you. Here's a call to action. Subscribe to the Beccasphere Climate Corner YouTube channel and my weekday climate news podcast, The Climate Recap. My podcast is the quickest way that you can...
Miraculous. The Beccasphere is the name of the channel. The link to that particular video is right there. And I'm gonna ask you this, and you have been very averse to answering a single question that I've asked, so I'm just gonna ask this really quickly. Do you know, or have you can you confirm if that is the sole reason? Have you spoken to this person to make that assumption? Or have you spoken with this person to formulate that thought process? I need an answer to that question because it's very I'm getting very impatient. This is on our way to being a Gensaki. No. The reason why I'm asking, and I need an answer to that, is because Well, I'll wait till this person answers. Which, by the way, I need to put our conversation on YouTube, like a complete cut, clear cut conversation. Don't worry, buddy, I'll help you. Fuck off. Okay, so the Beckosphere has already a job. Okay. The Beckosphere already has a job. The reason for doing the things that she does is because literally not a lot of people exist to signal boost climate news, and there's not very many channels dedicated to the concise and just like center making climate news headlines the center or the core of like a podcast or like a kind of like newsy channel. Because, well, take me for example. I talk a lot about climate change, and it is at the core underneath the main issue that I talk about. But I don't do what she does, right? Because I still talk about politics, and I still talk a lot about what's going on in terms of like, politics, I guess, news. But what she does is that she offers a way for people to get concise summaries of what's going on in terms of climate change. I didn't know about that previous study. I'm just piggybacking off her research. Not to mention, she does have backgrounds in journalism and stuff like that, so she absolutely knows what she's doing. And I don't believe for a second that the sole motivating factor, because I've spoken with her, is money. Okay. By the way, if you subscribe to her Patreon or you support her in any way, shape, or form, all that does is go right back into the channel. Okay? The same thing that I do. Okay? I swear, some people.
Keep up with this ongoing story because I do update my listeners regularly on this whenever there's any new information.
Right, and like take the fact of like, Jesus. Take the fact that Miraculous also brought up a good point. Yes, most content creators known for being rich. No. Yeah, no, she's not doing it for the money. She already has a job. She has a good job too, by the way.
You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and also a fellow YouTube channel that I have. I publish an episode every weekday morning that covers international and US-based climate news in about 10 minutes. So
nice.
If you would like to effortlessly be updated during your morning commute or while you're on lunch break, that's a really easy way to do it. And it's just so important to stay updated with this news because how can you call bullshit on companies and countries if you're not updated?
Based. That's based. Here, I'll find her channel. Oh, she's got Buy Me a Coffee. What? You know, I made an account but I never decided to use it. I don't know. This is like hey, come here. This is like the main place you can just go and support this channel if you can. And here is the alternate YouTube channel.
We all know climate change impacts every facet of our lives, from human health to the economy to our food systems to war.
There we go. Climate Recap, which is the alt channel for 10-minute updates, is on this link here. Feel free to check it out. Boom. All right. So I think we should do another cute animal video. That's just my opinion. What's it looking like, folks? Should we do a 2-for-1 special? Should we do another cute animal video? A 2-for-1 special for the free? Also, folks, speaking of the YouTubes, if you guys have a moment, and it really, really, really does help us out, if you guys have a moment, just head on over, mosey on over to the YouTube channel and just hit that big red subscribe button, all right? It really does help us out, and you get to support the channel for the free. Look at that. If you guys aren't already following this channel on Twitch as well, just hit the follow button. You get 5 free emotes, alright? One of them being Bakita the cat. Can't say no to that. Come on. How could you say no to Bakita the cat, alright? Hurricane season kicks off with the first Pacific storm off the coast of Mexico. This is noteworthy because coming off the back of climate recaps, hurricane seasons are going to kick off a lot earlier, and these storms are going to be a lot stronger than normal. This storm, because of obviously, warm waters, was quickly categorized as a category 2. Then Category 3, then is expected to make landfall as a strong Category 2, which is, yikes, to pop off the first hurricane season. The first storm is a named storm. That's not good, especially off the Pacific. So, yeah. Just to piggyback off that, Echo Resto Dragon, how's it going? Wait, was it you? Hold on, folks. Give me 1 second. Yes, okay. Sorry, I didn't reply yesterday because I got super sidetracked. But yes, I could see why Twitch would catch that. But I don't understand why it felt the need to auto mod that. I don't know. Twitch be weird sometimes. I could see it. I'm just not understanding to, like, why. I guess you know, I don't know. Twitch will do that, but have absolutely no sense in, like, addressing, like, hate raids and stuff like that. I subscribe to the Beckosphere Climate Corner. That's a good thing. And I would suggest a climate recap too. So yeah, what do we want to do, folks? Do we want to do another cute animal video? I'll do one for free. I'll do one for free. That's right. It's been a rough 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. It's been a rough 2 weeks of news. So, yeah. Actually, maybe we could play the latest cap because I haven't seen. I haven't seen a lot of these climate recaps because this is a new channel. So this is a brand new channel. Come on, folks. We need that sub count way higher than that. This is the latest one, so let's do that one.
What is a top priority for this year's UN climate talks? And did Brazil just change its position on Amazon deforestation? Welcome to the Climate Recap from the Beckosphere Climate Corner, your go-to place for international and US-based climate news. I'm Becky Hogue, a science writer. Today is Friday, May 27th. Let's jump right into the news you need to start your day. Let's start with some climate events. Jacobabad, Pakistan just hit 123.8 degrees Fahrenheit, or 51 degrees Celsius, as the heat in India and Pakistan continues. That's a new record. The heat wave began in March and is expected to continue until August. A doctor in Jacobabad estimates that 50 to 60 people are getting heat stroke a day, which is overwhelming the area's health services. The heat is devastating the Indian and Pakistani mango industry.
Not only that, that's just in one area. pretty like there's a lot of areas that are experiencing just uninhabitable heat waves. I mean, just even just to quickly, sorry if I only have like knowledge or concepts of like what happens here because I'm more tuned to the US, but in the west side, in the Midwest and West, there was still a massive desertification happening because climate change is ramping up, folks. This is going to be the new normal.
With mango production in Pakistan expected to drop by 50% this year due to the heat and water shortages. India is the 8th largest mango exporter, while Pakistan is the 10th largest. Over in France, the unusually warm weather is warming waters used to cool nuclear plants. 4 plants are at risk of going offline because of this, which adds up to about 11.6 gigawatts of power.
Jesus Christ, which is like, that's also kind of a negative on the idea that we should only focus on nuclear, right? That's kind of a mark, a negative on only focusing nuclear for the folks who are just completely sold on the idea that nuclear alone is going to solve this problem. No.
There's also a rule that states that when the weather's particularly hot, nuclear plants can't take water because it might add extra stress on the local wildlife. Most rivers are about 26 to 30 degrees Celsius right now. Meanwhile, New Zealand's biggest king salmon farmer, which supplies 85% of global Chinook salmon demand, reported a 42% mass die-off due to warming water.
Jesus.
Fish are dying off before they can even hit maturity. As a result, the fishery has had to shut down some of its farms this year. It's time for some climate victories. Ahead of the next United Nations Climate Conference, COP27, in November, the host country, Egypt, said climate finance will be a top priority this year. In the 2015 Paris Climate Accords, wealthy countries promised to provide $100 billion in funding to emerging economies to help them transition to clean energy. This makes sense because wealthy countries developed via fossil fuels because they were cheap. So if rich countries are going to ask developing countries to develop in a different way, they need to help provide the capital to make that a viable option. But it's been 7 years since wealthy countries made that promise and they still have not followed through.
She's right though.
Many developing countries are currently in debt to wealthier countries too. Egypt plans to hold wealthier countries accountable and add loss and damage funds to the list. Over to Asia, Vietnam is about to get its first green hydrogen plant. Green hydrogen is hydrogen that's made from renewable energy rather than as a byproduct of fossil fuel operations. The company TGS Green Hydrogen invested $840 million in the project, which is expected to start construction in the beginning of 2023. It will initially produce 24,000 tons of green hydrogen, 150,000 tons of ammonia, and 195,000 tons of oxygen a year. These numbers will eventually double, according to the government. Vietnam wants to nearly double its power capacity by 2030, prioritizing clean energy and reducing its reliance on coal.
Based.
Now let's talk about some things happening in Europe, specifically in the United Kingdom. I think the UK has finally figured out how they want to implement a windfall tax on energy companies. This has been an ongoing discussion since Russia's invasion of Ukraine began because fossil fuel companies have made record profits off the war while keeping gas prices high. A windfall tax is a tax given to companies that make an excess profit. For a while, the government was just threatening to implement this, telling fossil fuel companies to invest in clean energy projects to avoid being taxed. But the UK has finally decided to hit them with one anyways. The money created by the windfall tax will be used to give all households a £200 discount on energy bills. There will also be more targeted action to help lower income households cope with rising prices, potentially giving them up to £500. People are likely to see this money in the fall. Meanwhile, the UK Environment Agency fined 33 companies for failing to properly report emissions to the various emissions reduction schemes.
What? Companies lying? No way. Companies underreporting pollution and emissions? No way.
Power plants and utility companies were among those fined for underreporting or failing to report emissions to the EU emissions trading system.
Although I have to admit, I wish we had like a system like that here in the US where like you would be severely penalized if you misreport what you're doing. But yeah, that's just me. If we do have those type of regulations, they're not really enforced or used because clearly we have companies here that are doing way more damage and way more emissions and way more pollution than they're reporting. It also depends on what they mean by reporting because like depends on what you're asked. It depends on what you're asked to report on.
Brewery and automobile companies were among those fined for failing to provide emissions reports to the Voluntary Climate Change Agreement Scheme. And insurance and machine manufacturing companies were fined for failing to complete energy use audits and identify cost-effective energy-saving efforts for the Energy Savings Opportunity Scheme. The fines add up to over £27 million. Over to the Americas. Brazil's president announced he will immediately hike environmental fines for falsifying documents that cover up illegal logging, bring heavier consequences for repeat environmental offenders, and reduce the backlog of fines pending collection. The decree also undoes the ability for offending individuals and corporations to have a reconciliation hearing to reduce or cancel fines, something Bolsonaro put in place himself after taking office in 2019. This is one of the first efforts the Bolsonaro administration has made to actually protect the environment and head towards his commitment to halt deforestation by 2028, a promise he made during COP26 last November.
That's kind of good. We'll see, because I don't trust Bolsonaro, but we'll see.
Up to this point, his administration was responsible for racking up new deforestation records one after another and promoting a dangerous environment for environmental defenders.
Yeah.
So this change in policy...
That's a... yes. Yeah. It's one way. Yeah. I subscribe to the Climate Recap. Awesome. Awesome, folks. I highly recommend it. Please get that sub count up, please.
Could be a good sign that things are changing. But me being skeptical of this administration wonders if Bolsonaro...
True! Damn. I didn't pre-watch, chat, okay? I didn't pre-watch, I promise. Alright, you can even see. Alright, I didn't pre-watch. Based.
Bolsonaro's just trying to make himself look good ahead of Brazil's presidential election in October. In the US, the Securities and Exchange Commission released draft rules Wednesday to add more requirements and transparency to environmental, social, and governance, or ESG funds. One of its rules would boost fund disclosure requirements to make them more easily understood and comparable to other funds. It would also require some funds to report how much emissions their fund's investments make. Another rule would ensure fund investments match what the fund is called to reduce greenwashing. These rules could have a big impact, especially since the number of people interested in putting their money to good use is on the rise. Let's finish off today talking about some unsurprising news. Exxon's annual shareholder meeting finished with mixed results. Despite climate activists from Engine Number 1 gaining 3 seats on the company's board last year, the shareholders still voted to maintain business as usual, with only 28% voting to accelerate Exxon's decarbonization efforts as proposed by the Dutch group Follow This.
Right, which... That's always... God, that's so frustrating. Your interview with Becky was great. I enjoyed it. I need to get in touch with her again and see if she'll come back on. Especially on the heels of A, because we didn't touch base after the third working group 3 dropped, and B, ahead of the November COPE 27, in my opinion. But yes, I do need to get in touch with her again. I still have that saved, so maybe I can collect like an archive of like interviews that I've done, or collaborations that I've done, and then just like release them little by little in my YouTube channel. I don't know, maybe, because like I'm gonna be honest, folks. I'm not a good YouTuber. I'm not in by nature. I'm not a YouTuber. Because a YouTuber requires a lot of meticulous attention to detail, and it requires a lot of work. It may be 8 minutes, folks, but guaranteed, if you ask her how much time this 8-minute video took between pulling up all the resources, recording, editing, writing the scripts, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I just don't see myself as capable of doing things like what the Becksphere does, as I'm not very good at writing scripts. Most of what I do is live, and most of it involves me playing things off the cuff. Because and reacting to comments, because I like to interact with the chat. That's like interacting with you folks is like the life force of how I of the channel, right? Essentially. Well, I mean, yeah, it's live content. That's what I can do. That being said, I do want to make an effort to think about what to do with the YouTube channel. It's been years, folks. I need to figure it out.
However, shareholders did vote to have the company provide better climate data analysis to assess the financial impacts of transitioning to net zero emissions. Shareholders of other top fossil fuel companies like Shell, Total Energies, and Chevron voted to maintain business as usual in their meetings that were also this
no
week.
way. Multi-trillion-dollar industry decides that they want to continue to do business as usual. The commentary that I want to take away from that is just to illustrate that. And I hope that video speaks for itself, and I hope that her bringing up that fact speaks for itself. I mean, I hope that's the takeaway, right? Multi-trillion-dollar industry decides that they're just going to continue to do business as usual, even if it means the destruction of the planet. And by that, I mean setting off irreversible domino effects that would make life here pretty bad. I'm just saying. I hope that last point illustrates that, and I hope that last segment speaks for itself. It's not just ExxonMobil. It's the industry itself, because it is driven by profit. I mean, that's literally it. Because it's driven by profit, it's not going to change.
And that was your climate news for Friday, May 27th. If you like the work I do, please follow this podcast, give it a 5-star rating, leave a review, and consider checking out the Becksphere Climate Corner YouTube channel.
Based.
Remember to talk about the climate crisis every single day and to support your local news organizations.
Based.
Bye for now.
Based. All right, folks. I think that was a good ending. One last thing.
It's amazing. He's talking.
One last thing, folks. There's one way, I think it's called Doodle. You write the script and it talks it. You pick hand-drawn pics to go in front. Yeah, I've heard about Doodle. The issue then becomes, I mean, like, that can cut down on, like, production. And, like, there are ways of making things a little bit easier instead of, like, filming yourself. Like how I have my setup. Like a streamer has their setup where they have the camera going. You could have, like, videos like Our Changing Climate or Second Thought. Where they just have where they have just kind of videos going in the background and then just reading off a script, but like that takes a lot of work. Most of the work is the script and the research behind the scripts, and the research and combining all the information together is what really makes the video, if that makes sense. But yeah. All right, folks. We've got one more. All right. Listen, it's been a rough day. All right. It's been a rough week.
Which already is exceptionally. She was 22 years old, which already is exceptionally high. There was a lot going on in the run-up to her turning 23, which in cat years is 108 years old. I think because she's at that more fragile stage of her life, she wants to feel looked after and protected. She's my escape. But she is still sassy. What are you yelling at? I don't know whether it's because I'm not giving her attention or because I've not let her come closer to me. I'll turn and she's just literally giving me the death stare.
I know Daddy's home.
She wants to find me, she will just appear.
Someone knows it's dinner time.
We've always had a really close bond where the journey started way back in 1999. As she's gotten older, I've noticed that she is much more dependent on me. When she had a stroke a few years ago and I was seeing how she was walking, I thought, this is it. She's not got long left. When I'm at home, I appreciate the time that I have with her because I know that nothing is endless.
Now this guy.
But she pushed
Superb.
through, she just defied the odds.
Superb cat dad.
She still has the strength to jump up very high. She's still going, still strong, still full of life. She loves her life, just is determined to live it out as long as she can. She doesn't hold back.
Isn't that a feel-good
So,
story?
as the birthday drew closer, we had to arrange balloons, toys.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Queen Lily. Happy birthday.
Every single kitty cat. That's so cute.
24, I guess.
Oh my god.
Yay!
It's a wonderful birthday. and then slept like a baby. Lily has shown me the true meaning of what it is to be a soulmate.
23 years, folks. That's a very, very, very
Someone
old
that
cat.
is literally at your side till death do you part. She's been the best friend I could have ever asked for.
That is unbelievably adorable. Unbelievably adorable. Ours lasted 14. That's still pretty high, like for a cat, I think, right? Cats usually last anywhere from, depending, of course, anywhere from like, well, 50, anywhere from like 15 to all the way. I've seen cats go to like 25. And in uber uber rare occasions, they can hit nearly 30. I mean, that's if woof. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, that's kind of similar to dog, right? And dogs are about anywhere from, like, the 15 to 20 years, maybe? I think cats, like, are able to live a little bit longer. Not sure. All right, folks. It is 11:30. Unfortunately, I do got to get going. I appreciate all of you folks hanging out here today. If you guys enjoyed the content, we are here Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And join us for Saturday, Catterday, about noon Eastern Time. Please feel free to hit the follow button. You get 5 free emotes, including Vaquita the Cat. Please feel free to go to the YouTube, smack that big red subscribe button, join the Discord to keep up with the channel. Thank you, Heat. I appreciate it. My cat is my everything. I'm so attached to her, and she is to me. That's adorable. That is adorable. I appreciate you folks joining us. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya! Alright, folks. It's been a bit of a rough start. I didn't really want to do Echo Resto Dragon. Thank you for joining. I appreciate that. Yeah, spam those Vaquita emotes. Come on, folks. They're free. So I want to continue the chill vibes, because sorry for that rough start, but here we go. Such is the state of the world. Let's see if we can get some chill vibes. Alright, folks. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.